Thank you, Director of the program. Baba, Deputy Minister Manamed. Deputy President Sri Ramaphosa, Ministers and Deputy Ministers, the Premier of Gauteng, Mr. David Makura, and MECs of this province, the Executive Mayor of the City of Johannesburg, Councillor Pax Tau, Members of Parliament, National Parliament who are here, members of provincial legislatures, religious leaders who are here, traditional leaders, members of the June 16 Foundation, and all veterans and families of the victims of the June 16 uprising, members of the diplomatic corps, Mpagati Soweto, our young achievers who are with us here today, fellow South Africans, Tumelang, Sanbonani, Molweni, Thobela, Loshisani, Rimasholoni, good day. Thank you very much indeed. Patriots, we greet you. We greet you all on this historic day in our country. We are marking this year's National Youth Day by commemorating the 40th anniversary of the June 16, 1976 student uprising. The country is celebrating the heroism of students who stood up to the apartheid state as they fought for their rights and the liberation of their country from racial oppression and subjugation. We are also today reflecting on the achievements, challenges, and opportunities facing the current generation of young people under the theme, Youth Moving South Africa Forward. Lamakawe ayefunda ezikoleni zalapha eSoweto, Komatibane High, Morris Isaacson High, Pefeni High, Naledi High, nezinye izikole akhombisa isibindi esiyisimanga, abhekana ngqo namaphoyisa ombuso wengcindezelo. Students revolted not only against the imposition of Afrikaans, but against Bantu education because they knew it was inferior and that it was designed to prepare them to be drawers of water and hewers of wood. The apartheid ideology espoused that whites were by nature superior and that blacks were inherently inferior. The architect of institutionalized racism, Hendrik Verwoerd, the then Minister of Native Affairs, had clearly expressed the regime's views about black people and their future. He had this to say, and I quote him: "There is no place for the Bantu in European community above the level of certain forms of labor. What is the use of teaching the Bantu child mathematics when it cannot use it in practice? That is quite absurd. Education must train people in accordance with their opportunities in life, according to the sphere in which they live." Unquote. Heavily armed police opened fire on the students as they were marching peacefully towards this stadium, had refused to disperse when the police ordered them to disperse. 15-year Huston Ndlovu and 12-year-old Hector Peterson were the first to be brutally killed by the police. The death toll later increased. We salute all those who fell in this battle, and not only the two young heroes. The names of all are engraved at the Hector Peterson Memorial for generations to know and appreciate their sacrifices. We warmly welcome the veterans of the uprising and the members of the June 16 Foundation at this commemoration today and salute them for their selfless sacrifices. Scores of student activists went into exile, fleeing police brutality. Others sadly died in foreign lands, leaving families in anguish, such as Sietsi Mashinini. Many were imprisoned for long periods, such as Khotso Siatlolo and others. Others went missing, such as Buyisa Makubu, who is in the icon picture taken by photographer Sam Zuma, in which he is seen carrying Hector Peterson with his sister Antoniette Sitole running frantically next to them. We also acknowledge the journalists who covered the uprising under difficult conditions for generations to see what happened in June 1976. Indeed, our freedom was not free. Many paid a heavy price for it. Many lives were destroyed. Many lives were lost. We salute the parents and community leaders who supported the students, Mama Albertina Sisulu, Mama Winnie Mandela, the leadership of the then Black Parents Association, the Soweto Committee of 10, and other structures. We acknowledge the contribution of the doctors, nurses, and other health professionals who treated the injured, and the religious leaders who provided pastoral care and leadership. We also acknowledge the 400 white students from Wits University who marched in solidarity with the Soweto students, demonstrating the non-racial nature of our struggle. We have come a long way indeed as a country and as a nation since 1976. The struggle and sacrifices of the class of 1976 were not in vain. We proudly defeated Verwoerd and his racist ideology and ushered in a free and democratic South Africa in 1994. We now live in a constitutional democracy with a constitution that enshrines the rights of all, regardless of race, color, or creed. Race no longer determines where one lives or where one goes to school or church, or what work one can do. Black people no longer have to carry passes or seek permits to live and work in urban areas. Indeed, there are no longer public amenities that are designated for certain race groups only, such as beaches or public transport. These are all examples of the manifestations of the institutionalized racism that we lived through, which made South Africa the skunk of the world. Today, we live in a vibrant democracy, and we have worked hard to build strong democratic state, strong institutions, the three arms of the state, the executive, parliament, and the judiciary perform their tasks cooperatively, advancing democracy and promoting the rights of our people. Our Constitution also creates the Chapter 9 institutions which protect our democracy, such as the South African Human Rights Commission, Commission on Gender Equality, the Office of the Public Protector, the Commission for Protection of Religious, Cultural and Linguistic Communities, the Independent Electoral Commission, and the Auditor General. We live in a country where freedom of expression, association, and of the media are enshrined in the Constitution, where we know we will not be shot and killed for staging a peaceful march to state our grievances. Today, we also live in a country where government has a comprehensive program and agenda of improving the quality of life of our people. Millions of people now have access to water, electricity, housing, hospital care, quality education, and other services, which has led to an improvement in the quality of life. We are aware that some people are still waiting for these services, given the backlog we have. Impilo isingcono kakhulu kubantu kusukela ngo-1994. Kulabo izidingo ezingakafiki kubona siyeza nakubona. Ngeke uhulumeni wentando yeningi aphumule bengakazitholi bonke abantu izidingo zabo. Siyosebenza ubusuku nemini. South Africa is indeed a much better place than it was when the students stood up and said enough is enough in June 1976. But the struggle continues. We will never rest until we achieve a more equal society and prosperous society, and a society without poverty and unemployment. By denying the majority of the population quality education, the apartheid regime disadvantaged the country and the South African economy immensely. Given the usage of education as an instrument of subjugation by the apartheid regime, the democratic government decided to make education an instrument of liberation. Education is an apex priority and receives the biggest chunk of the national budget. Each year, we build new schools and refurbish others to improve the learning environment. Government has built 795 schools since 2009 at a cost of 23 billion rand. We have built 78 new libraries in addition to 304 that have been upgraded to improve access to education. At least 80% of our public schools are now no-fee schools, and 9 million children are exempted from paying school fees. In this way, the country is making progress with regards to free basic education for the poor and the working class. Poverty must not prevent a child from obtaining an education. 9 million children also receive free meals at school, as hunger must not prevent children from poor households from performing at their optimal level in school. Government is also building 3 new universities and 12 technical education colleges to expand access to higher education. Moving with the times, government is also investing more and more in information and communication technology in education. Right here in Gauteng, children were offered tablets to promote e-learning in our schools. At the national level, we promote access to information and communication technologies in all schools nationwide through our Operation Pakesa program aimed at fast-tracking the delivery of government programs linked to the National Development Plan. Government is also increasing funding for education. The National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS, funding for training at vocational training colleges known as TVET colleges has increased from 318 million rand in 2010 to 2.3 billion rand in 2016. The objective is to promote technical education and provide more electricians, welders, plumbers, and other artisans for the economy. Access to NSFAS at universities and universities of technology also increases each year. We appeal to defaulting NSFAS beneficiaries to play their part and make repayments to the fund once they start working.